Vijay Mallya was born into a world of immense privilege and opportunity. His father, Vijay Mallya, was a formidable industrialist who had built United Breweries Group into a sprawling and successful conglomerate. Young Vijay was educated at prestigious institutions, first at La Martiniere, Calcutta, and later at St. Xavier's College. From a very early age, he was groomed to take over the family business. He was surrounded by wealth, power, and the high-flying lifestyle that would later become his personal brand. This upbringing instilled in him a sense of destiny, a belief that he was meant for great things, and it gave him a head start that few others in India could ever dream of. His early life was not one of struggle, but of preparation for an inheritance. Upon his father's sudden death in 1983, a 28-year-old Vijay Mallya was thrust into the chairman's seat of United Breweries. Many seasoned business observers were skeptical. They wondered if this young man, known more for his flamboyant personality and love for fast cars and racehorses, could possibly fill his father's shoes. The corporate world watched with bated breath, expecting him to falter under the immense pressure of managing such a diverse and complex business empire. The initial perception was that he was more of a playboy than a serious industrialist, a character more suited to the society pages than the financial columns of the newspapers. However, Mallya quickly set out to prove his doubters wrong. He didn't just maintain the empire his father had built. He began to expand it with remarkable speed and aggression. He consolidated his control over the various companies within the group, fending off corporate raiders and asserting his authority with a confidence that surprised many. He demonstrated a keen business acumen, particularly in the liquor business, where he understood the power of branding better than almost anyone else. He wasn't content to simply be the custodian of his father's legacy. He wanted to forge his own, one that would be bigger, bolder, and far more glamorous. This period marked the creation of his public persona, the King of Good Times. This was not just a catchy marketing slogan for his Kingfisher beer, it was a reflection of his own life. He hosted extravagant parties on his yacht, the Indian Empress, and at his palatial homes around the world. He was seen with Bollywood stars and international celebrities, and his annual Kingfisher calendar became a major cultural event. He cultivated an image of success, luxury, and unapologetic extravagance. For many Indians, he represented a new aspirational India, one that was confident, global, and ready to enjoy the fruits of its economic success. The cornerstone of Vijay Mallya's empire was, and always had been, the liquor business. Under his leadership, United Spirits and United Breweries grew exponentially. He turned Kingfisher from a popular domestic beer into an international brand, making it synonymous with Indian fun and hospitality. He understood that selling alcohol was about selling a lifestyle. His marketing campaigns were legendary, blending glamour, sport, and aspiration. He acquired other companies, including the historic Scottish distiller White and Mackay, in a bold move that announced his arrival on the global stage. This acquisition was a statement of intent, showing that an Indian tycoon could compete with and acquire established Western brands. Beyond beverages, Mallya's ambitions were vast and varied. He diversified into a wide range of sectors, venturing into chemicals, fertilizers, and engineering. He had a controlling stake in companies like Mangalore Chemicals and Fertilizers, displaying an appetite for traditional heavy industries alongside his more glamorous pursuits. He also owned a successful Formula One racing team, Force India, which further cemented his image as a global player who was comfortable rubbing shoulders with the international elite. This team was a source of national pride for many, an Indian flag flying high in one of the world's most exclusive and expensive sports. His business strategy was often characterized by high-stakes, debt-fueled expansion. Mallya was a master of leveraging assets and using bank loans to fund his ambitious growth plans. In an era of easy credit and booming economic confidence in India, banks seemed more than willing to lend to such a high-profile and seemingly successful businessman. His name and his reputation for success opened doors and unlocked vast sums of capital. He projected an aura of invincibility, and the financial institutions caught up in the narrative of India's economic rise lined up to be a part of his story, often with less due diligence than was prudent. This relentless expansion created a complex web of companies under the umbrella of his holding company, UB Group. While the liquor business remained the cash cow, consistently generating enormous profits, other ventures were far more volatile. The empire became a sprawling and sometimes unwieldy collection of assets, each requiring significant capital and management attention. The success of Kingfisher Beer provided the financial fuel for Mallya's ever-growing ambitions. It was this success that gave him the credibility and the cash flow to dream even bigger, a decision that would ultimately lead him towards his most audacious and fateful venture, aviation. In 2005, Vijay Mallya launched his most ambitious project yet, Kingfisher Airlines. He promised to bring his King of Good Times philosophy to the skies, aiming to create a premium, full-service airline that would redefine air travel in India. The airline was launched with immense fanfare, positioning itself as a five-star experience. Passengers were offered gourmet meals, personal video screens with live television, and a level of service unseen in the Indian aviation market at the time. Initially, it was a huge hit with business travelers and anyone willing to pay a premium for comfort and style, quickly becoming the most popular airline in the country. Mallya poured vast amounts of money into the airline, leasing a fleet of brand new Airbus aircraft and sparing no expense on branding and customer experience. The airline's bright red livery became a common sight at Indian airports, a symbol of Mallya's modern global vision. The problem was that this luxury came at an incredibly high cost. The Indian aviation market is notoriously price-sensitive, dominated by low-cost carriers. While Kingfisher won awards for its service, it struggled to make a profit. The high operational costs, especially fluctuating fuel prices, meant that even with full planes, the airline was losing money on almost every flight it operated. The situation worsened significantly with the ill-fated acquisition of the budget airline, Air Deccan, in 2007. The idea was to gain a larger market share and enter the low-cost segment. However, the merger was poorly managed, and the two airlines had vastly different cultures and operational models. Instead of creating synergy, the acquisition saddled Kingfisher with even more debt and operational headaches. The attempt to run a premium service and a low-cost carrier under one banner proved to be a strategic disaster, confusing customers and stretching the company's finances to breaking point. It was a classic case of overambitious expansion gone wrong. By 2012, the dream was turning into a nightmare. Kingfisher Airlines was drowning in debt, owing huge sums to banks, fuel suppliers, airports, and, most tragically, its own employees, who went unpaid for months. Flights were cancelled, planes were repossessed, and the airline's license was eventually suspended. The King of Good Times had created a business that was hemorrhaging cash at an alarming rate. The failure of Kingfisher Airlines was not just a business collapse. It was the beginning of the end for Vijay Mallya's entire empire, as the massive debts from the airline began to threaten the stability of his other, more profitable businesses. The collapse of Kingfisher Airlines triggered a domino effect across Vijay Mallya's business empire. The massive loans, which had been secured against shares and personal guarantees, were now being called in by a consortium of state-owned Indian banks. With the airline grounded and generating no revenue, there was no way to repay the mounting interest, let alone the principal amount. The banks, facing public and political pressure, began legal proceedings to recover their money, which was estimated to be over 9,000 crore rupees, or around £900 million. Mallya's image shifted from that of a celebrated tycoon to a willful defaulter in the eyes of the public and the media. In March 2016, as legal pressures intensified and arrests seemed imminent, Vijay Mallya left India for the United Kingdom. He claimed he was leaving to be closer to his family and was not absconding. However, his departure was seen by Indian authorities and the public as an act of a fugitive fleeing justice. An Indian court declared him a proclaimed offender and later a fugitive economic offender, a new legal designation created to tackle high-profile cases like his. This move allowed the government to begin the process of confiscating his assets in India, whether they were related to the airline's default or not. The fallout was immense. The profitable jewel in his crown, United Spirits, was sold to the British multinational Diageo to raise funds. His other assets, from luxury homes and vintage cars to his stake in the Force India F1 team, were either seized by authorities or sold off to pay creditors. His public image was destroyed. The King of Good Times became a poster boy for corporate greed and crony capitalism in India, a symbol of a system where powerful individuals could borrow vast sums of public money and then seemingly escape accountability. He remains in London, fighting a long legal battle against extradition to India. The story of Vijay Mallya offers several cautionary lessons. It is a stark reminder of the dangers of excessive debt and reckless, glamour-driven expansion. It highlights the importance of sound corporate governance and the need for robust due diligence from financial institutions. On a broader level, his rise and fall reflect a particular era in India's economic story, a time of unchecked optimism and easy credit that enabled spectacular growth but also spectacular collapses. For a generation of Indians, his tale serves as a powerful lesson. A reputation built on flamboyance and borrowed money can vanish as quickly as it was created, leaving behind a legacy not of success but of debt and disgrace.